Welcome to the full sales skills tier list. As somebody who made $220,000 profit last month in the same month that I turned 18 through sales, I can confidently say a lot of it wasn't actually because of how hard I was working. And here's what I mean by that. Before that, I was a #1 rep in a $40 million a year company, out collecting the rest of that team combined, competing against 30, 40, 50-year-olds. And so when I really thought about it, I thought, well, they've been in sales a lot longer than me. They've put in a lot more time than I have. They've taken a lot more calls than I have. They've gone through much more training than I have. So what was the difference? What made me so much better than them? And what I realized is it wasn't the amount of time, it was the things I was spending that time on. For example, if you had Google Maps and you were trying to go to a coffee shop a mile east, but you set it accidentally on the wrong location for a coffee shop a mile west, it doesn't matter how fucking fast you drive, or if you're in a Lambo or a Ferrari or whatever it is, you're not gonna get there because you have the wrong target. So my goal with this video is to rank every skill set in sales. That way you know which ones you have to put your focus on. What direction should you actually be going to get to your first 10, 50, $100,000 a month in commissions based on whatever you want. So that being said, let's get into it. So let's go through the tiers. #1, we're starting with F, which is the kill yourself tier. Then we have the E, which is why. Why the fuck are you even doing this? Then we have waste of time. So like if you had extra time, then you could do it, but you probably don't do it. Then we have E, so E, C, that's all you need. And then B is good, and then A is 100%. You should use this. This will change your career. This will make you a lot more sales. And then S is, oh my God, wow. Basically, you need to learn this. You need to use this if you want to get to 10K, 50K, 100K a month in commissions. So #1, let's start off with tonality. Now, tonality, believe it or not, is actually pretty underrated. And here's the reason why. A lot of people, they see all these influencers that are 40, 50 years old, whatever, that are like, oh, has that had an impact on you? Or you see them fucking raging on roid rage screaming. And either one is very, very good. The key is, and we'll go to that in a second, tonality isn't that important because when you fix your body language and your facial expressions, naturally your tonality is gonna adapt. For example, if I tilt my head and squint my eyes, I'm gonna sound curious, whether I like it or not. Has that an impact on you? Like that's very, very curious. And so I don't need to focus on my actual tone, meaning how I'm speaking, because I'm so focused on my body language and my facial expression. So tonality, we're gonna put it probably on like a D. It's kind of a waste of time. Next, let's go to body language. So that's what I just mentioned, right? Whenever you fix your body language or facial expressions, naturally your tonality is gonna be fixed as well. And so we'll put body language actually in S tier. You need it. You kind of need body language because if not, you're gonna be pretty shit, right? Now, the main body language you need to learn is whenever you're trying to sound confident or certain on a sales call, which should be your base kind of tonality, you have to have very open body language. The reason why is in psychology, whenever we have our vital organs exposed, our chest exposed, it shows the people that we're around, I don't view you as a threat. I'm confident, I feel safe, so I can have my vital organs exposed. The opposite is whenever you're sound unconfident or uncertain and you feel threatened, you naturally put your hands a lot closer to your body and you're a lot more closed off because you feel like you need to protect yourself. And so if you do that, they're gonna see in their mind, this guy isn't very confident, and if you have a great product, a great service, and you know what the fuck you're talking about, you should be pretty confident. And so again, very exposed body language, have your hands very, very visible because it's a sign of safety, right? If you have them in your back pocket or in your fucking pocket, it's like, does this guy have a gun? Like, does he have a knife? Like, what's happening? And so have them visible, your hands, and then very open body language. That's the key. If you're trying to sound curious, I mentioned a second ago, tilt your head, squint your eyes. If you want to sound skeptical or like challenging, lean back and scrunch your eyebrows like, what? Because that's gonna make you, again, sound very like skeptical. Like, does this guy even know what he's talking about? And if you want to sound concerned last, raise your eyebrows and lean in. Like, oh really? That makes you sound very, very concerned. Next, let's go to rapport building. Where do I put rapport building? Rapport building is honestly pretty shit. I'm honestly putting kill yourself. Yeah, rapport building is not important. If you know how to demand respect on a sales call, I don't need them to like me. Do I give a fuck if they like me? No, as long as I change their life and I make them do the right thing, I don't really care if they like me or not. And so as long as you're able to create respect, which I would honestly say is the real rapport, I'm going off the normal definition of rapport. If you're able to create respect by going straight into a sales call from the very beginning, it's like, hey, can you hear me? Can you see me? They're like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, it looks like you scheduled some time in about like possible help with kind of like getting in better shape, losing some weight, all that jazz. How can I help, man? Then in there, they're gonna feel like, okay, this guy doesn't have time to waste. He's busy, he knows what he's talking about, he's important. And so that's the real respect or real rapport in my eyes. And so the typical definition of rapport, oh, how's the weather, how's your day going, all that shit, honestly, it's just terrible. So I'm gonna put it in the last bucket. Next, let's go to NLP. Now, NLP is an interesting one because a lot of people in the online space have kind of popularized it as this like massive technique or whatever. In reality, NLP will only help you past, say, 70K a month. Before that, it's a waste of time to focus on it because your script and your actual process, your framework, your questions, and a lot of these things that we're gonna cover are 10 times more important than trying to learn NLP. And that's on top of the fact that most people who speak about NLP online actually have no fucking clue what NLP even is in the first place. If you don't even know the founders of NLP, do you really know what NLP is? No. Richard Bandler and John Grinder, those are the two founders. So since NLP is actually good to learn once you've crossed like 70K a month, 100K a month, I'm gonna put it in A. But again, you should not focus on this until you're at that level. If you're not at that level, you're doing 0 a month in commissions or 10K a month, this is basically in the kill yourself tier. But we'll put it in A just to be nice with it, right? Verbal cueing next. Verbal cueing is actually very, very important. What it is, on a sales call, as people are speaking, they do what's called mirroring in psychology, which means that if I speak faster, they're gonna speak faster, essentially. If I speak slower, they're gonna speak slower. If you go to a bar, for example, and you notice a couple on their first date, at the beginning when it's a little bit awkward, they're not really gonna be in sync. But then as they progress, if they end up liking each other and it's going well, whatever, you'll notice they start to mirror each other. For example, he might start to nod his head while he's telling a story or something. And she might start to do the same thing because she's leading, right? It's called mirroring. This is how verbal cueing works. If as the prospect is speaking, I'm going like, yeah, oh really? Huh, that makes sense, interesting. And I do that fast, so like, yeah, oh really, huh. Then they're gonna naturally speed up how they're talking. If I slow it down and I'm like, really, interesting, okay. Then they're gonna slow down how they're speaking because again, they're mirroring me, they're matching me. So verbal cueing is actually very, very important. However, I think it's only really necessary once you cross 7 to 10K a month. Before then, focus on your script, focus on body language. So I'm gonna put it in the A. 100% you should learn it and it's very, very important, but it's not absolutely necessary in your first stages of development. Next, we have state management. Now, where am I gonna put this? State management is actually very, very close to me. I hold it very, very fondly. And the reason why is because the reason you guys notice in these videos, after 12 hours of meetings, of work, of recording, I can still have this level of energy is because of state management. And it works the exact same way on a sales call. Most of you guys, if you've been in sales, have had a time when you go into a sales call and you're like, I'm so confident, I feel so high energy, maybe it's 10 a.m., I just had a coffee or a Celsius or 300 milligrams of caffeine, whatever it is, whatever your jam is, right? And you feel so good that you're like, I'm gonna close this motherfucker. There's nothing that could happen that would stop me from closing this guy. Everybody's also had a time, if you've worked 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day, when at the end of the day, you feel so tired, you feel so down, you don't wanna move, you don't wanna do anything, and you're like, do I even have to get on this sales call? Like, I don't even want to. The difference isn't the person you're speaking to, isn't your fucking Zoom account or your calendar. The difference is your state. And so I'll tell you how to change your state. And it's through a thing that's called anchoring. If I tell you right now, think about the worst memory you've had in your entire life. And I tell you right now, actually think about it for like 5 seconds, right? Worst thing that's ever happened. You're gonna feel a negative emotion associated to it. And the question is why? And it's because it's an anchor. Every human has many, many anchors. They could be memories. It could be something that somebody says. It could be something you think about. It could be something you do physically. It could be a place. It could be a time you wake up. Everybody has different anchors that they associate to states. If I give you an easy example right now, if you were extremely tired right now, you felt down, you couldn't even remember your own fucking first name, how to spell it, you have no clue what was happening, and you went down, you did 5 minutes of push-ups straight, I can guarantee you, I can promise you, you would feel more energy than before you did it. Now, that's not an anchor yet, that's just physical activity. The way you turn it into an anchor is if every time you felt tired, let's say 5 times a day for the next 6 weeks, every time you felt tired, you did those 5 minutes of push-ups. And eventually your brain would start to realize, anytime I'm tired, I do push-ups, and then I do push-ups, and I get into a better new state of higher energy, wanting to help people, passion, whatever it is. And so your brain eventually would create a shortcut where you no longer have to do 5 minutes of push-ups anymore, but maybe now you do 1 minute of push-ups and you feel the same effect. And then eventually, once you do it for months and months and months, your brain really creates that shortcut to where you can do 5 or 6 push-ups, and all of a sudden you go back into that state. That's what an anchor is. And so before any meeting I have, any call, any piece of content I record, before literally anything that I need to do that requires energy, I do my anchor. Now for me, this is gonna look retarded, this is my first time doing this publicly on camera, I do something where I just go, and what that does is it gets me high energy. My editor is fucking laughing over there, piece of shit. But when I first started doing it, I would have to do like 3 sets of it. So I'd do it for like 30 seconds, I'd run out of breath, take a break, 1 minute, do it again. And then eventually I got to the point where now I can literally do 4 or 5 of them before any meeting, before any call, and immediately I go back into my peak state. So that's state management. Honestly, just because I care about it so much, I'm gonna put it in S. Because this isn't even sales. This is like anything you have to do marketing related, sales, any work you do, this will make you better at it. Next, let's go into reframing. Now, I don't know where to put reframing. Reframing is really interesting because your goal is you shouldn't really have to reframe. If you do your identity framing properly, which I'll go over in a second, but if you do identity framing properly and you're asking the right questions with the right body language, etc., then naturally people are gonna break their own limiting beliefs. For example, if somebody comes onto a call thinking like, oh, I don't make decisions on the spot, or I don't invest into myself. But then I take them through a future based on a consequence and they're like, oh man, I could be the best person, the best father on the earth. I could be amazing. I could get 100K a month. I could travel the world. I could enjoy different cultures. And then the consequence at the same time is like, well, I'd be a piece of shit. I'd be a fucking terrible father and my kids wouldn't be able to see me as they grow up. Then naturally this massive gap is gonna make them want to make a change in how they think. So I no longer really have to reframe them. And so naturally, if you're good at your process, you won't really have to reframe as much. Now, it's still important because in some scenarios, still, people, if it's deep-rooted enough, their beliefs, you're still gonna have to reframe them. So I'm gonna put reframing in A. It is very important and it is good. 100% you should learn it, but it is not as important as some of the other things that are in the... Great, so next let's go over identity framing. Now, identity framing is extremely important, not necessarily to get you from like 0 to 10K a month, for example, but to get you from 10K, 50K to 100K a month. This is the key, identity framing. And the reason why is because a lot of people have this belief of like, oh, I need to sell the person that comes onto the call with me. But that's actually completely wrong. You shouldn't try to focus on selling the person that gets onto the call with you. You should try and convert the person who gets onto the call with you into the kind of person that buys. So how do you do it? Well, two things. Number one, any bad parts of their identity of who they believe they are, we have to destroy those parts. And then number two, the parts that are good about their identity, we have to reinforce them. Because if I can get somebody at the end of the call when I pitch them that believes they are strong, they are bold, they are courageous, they are intelligent, then at the end of the call, they're gonna wanna buy naturally. But if somebody gets to the end of the call and they believe, I'm not courageous, I'm a pussy, I don't take action, I am not smart, I don't even trust myself enough to make a decision and believe that I even know what a good decision is, then they're never gonna buy. So some examples of this are, let's say I'm on a fitness offer and somebody comes onto the call with me and they're like, yeah man, like I've spoke with my wife and she said I've been gaining a lot of weight, so it became really important for me to lose weight. Right there, I could reinforce the identity that I choose to. So for example, I could go like, and kudos to you for that, man, for like actually having the strength and like the courage to actually like want to make a change. A lot of people, I mean, you know how it goes, like they're really hard-headed and they're like, yeah, even though I know I need to lose the weight, my wife told me this, like I'm just gonna keep doing the same thing. Like she's wrong. Right? So like kudos to you for actually like having the courage and the boldness to do that. So what did I just do? I told him, you are courageous, you are bold, you are strong. So in his mind, he's like, oh my God, I'm strong, I'm bold, I'm courageous, right? And so I'm making him feed into this identity of I am this kind of person. Because then again, when he gets to the end of the call and now he's like, well, I'm bold, I'm courageous, I'm paying $5,000. And all of a sudden it just makes sense, they come together. And so I think this is extremely important, being able to identity frame people correctly. So I'm honestly gonna put this in S tier. Because if you don't know how to identity frame correctly, you will never be able to go from 10K a month to 100K a month in commissions. Like it is impossible. You will not be able to do it. Next, let's go over pre-handling objections. So pre-handling objections is actually extremely overrated. If you know how to objection handle properly on a call and you know how to set up the entire call, taking them through the proper discovery, the future pace, the consequence, the gap that creates urgency and everything else, you don't necessarily have to be great at pre-handling objections because you'll be able to handle them anyways in like 1 or 2 minutes. I always say the goal of pre-handling objections in the impact formula is not to not get an objection at the end of the call, if that makes any sense. The goal of pre-handling objections is so when you do get an objection at the end of the call, it takes you 1 minute to overcome it. It's fast because they already know that that objection is bullshit. You know it's bullshit. And so rather than it being you versus them in this objection handling sequence, it becomes you and them versus this problem or this limiting belief or this objection that they gave you. And so I would honestly put pre-handling objections in, let's see, I'd put in It's not bad, you still gotta learn it eventually, but it's also not like the main priority of what you need to learn. Next, let's go over time management. Now, time management is interesting because when you're a beginner rep trying to get from 0 to 10 to 20, 30, 40, whatever it might be a month in commission, it's not that important. If you just get good at the skill set, good at the script, the process, etc., body language, state management, identity framing, all these things in the S and A tier, you won't really need to focus very much on time management, but it is still definitely important if you didn't get to like 100K a month in commissions and all the other things. So I'll put time management at good. It is definitely good, but it's also not necessary, especially at the beginning. Let's go over consequence. So consequence is part of the emotional certainty in the impact formula. It is extremely important because that's what creates the urgency for them of like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm gonna have all these issues, and that's what makes them wanna act now. And so consequence is very, very important. I'm gonna put it at 100% just because it's not like a wow, like everybody knows that you have to consequence, but it's still obviously very, very important. You need to know how to do it. So we'll put it in consequence in the 100% tier. Future pace, I'll put it in the same tier, exact same thing, because again, your ability to build urgency comes down to being able to build this dream state of like, oh, I could do this and I could achieve this and succeed here and everything else, and then contrast that immediately with the consequence of, oh, if I don't do this though, then all these issues are gonna happen. And the difference between the two is what creates urgency. A lot of people, and this is a really common limiting belief that I hear, they're like, oh, the longer my call is, the better or the more likely that I am to close them. It's actually the opposite. And a lot of people don't understand this. If I take, let's say, 10 arbitrary units of pain, and I spread 10 units of pain over 10 minutes, let's say, that's 1 unit of pain per minute. And so, yeah, that's a little bit of pain, but if I condense those same 10 units of pain into 5 minutes, now that's 2 units of pain per minute. And so which one makes somebody more likely to actually act and want to make a change? Well, believe it or not, it's the second one, 2 units of pain per second. It's kind of like if I go into a sauna and I feel this warmth for 30 minutes, for example, at the end of it, I feel fine. It's like, okay, great. But if I put my hand on a stove for half a second or 1 second, it's immediately, oh shit, and I'm burnt. Like, what the fuck? I need to make a change. And I'm never gonna put my hand on the stove ever again. It works the exact same way in a sales call. If I get 100 units of pain, let's say in a 2-hour sales call, then yeah, that might make them wanna act. But if I get 75 units of pain, so a little bit less pain, but I condense it into a 30-minute sales call, that feels a lot more intense to them. And so it's gonna make them a lot more likely to need a change. And so when you get good at consequence and future pace, you're able to condense these units of pain or desire into a short period of time and contrast them immediately after one another. That way the person feels a lot of urgency to need to make a change. Great, so next let's go over summarizing. Now, what I mean by summarizing is people will tell you problems and stuff, and I see this on a bunch of shitty sales scripts from companies that we first go in and we start training, etc., on their original scripts. And it's like, somebody will tell them a problem and they'll be like, oh, so if I'm hearing correctly, so you've had XYZ problem for like X amount of time and it's causing XYZ for the business? Is that about right? And it's like, that's terrible. Because all it does is it makes them feel like, well, so you weren't listening to me enough, so now you have to summarize and make sure you were right? Like, think about it, that doesn't make any sense. If I was just listening, I'd be able to ask questions based off the information they've already told me, and that would show them, well, okay, he's actually present, like he's listening to what I'm saying. But if I have to summarize and be like, okay, so what you mean is this, is that right? Then it's like, okay, he heard what I said, but he's not really sure if he heard what I said. Is he really paying attention? And now it honestly puts you in a worse spot. So I'm gonna put summarizing in the kill yourself tier. This is fucking horrible. Don't do that. Great, let's go to finding problems. Very, very important, not very difficult though. So honestly, if you like, okay, 2 basic questions you can use to uncover a problem in anybody. If somebody gets on a sales call with you, you could ask, let's say it's a business coaching offer helping them grow the business. You could literally ask something as simple as like, okay, like what in specific, I guess, do you feel like you need possible help with then in order to actually like do more revenue, grow the business, all that jazz? Oh, well, I need better marketing. Well, what have you seen that I guess makes you feel like the marketing in specific is kind of like the bottleneck? Oh, well, we're only getting 10 leads a month. Great, I find a problem. It took me fucking 2 seconds, 2 questions. Those are actually the first 2 questions in the impact formula in the intent stage. And so finding problems, very important, not very difficult though. So I'm gonna put it in the good stage. You need it, so don't get me wrong. You need to learn how to do this, but it's not very difficult, and so it does not require a lot of focus, so I'm just gonna put it in good. So those are all the skill sets I can think of ranked on importance. If you have other ones that I missed, put them in the comment section. I'll reply and let you know where I would put them, or I'll make another video if there's enough of them, and I was enough of an idiot to forget like half of them. And I'll make another video ranking actually all of them this time. But if that was helpful for you, I'm on a mission to make real sales education accessible to everybody, and so I created what was called the Impact Team alongside my business partner Yash and Austin. It's a group where we have all of my scripts as modules breaking down every part of the script, all the psychology behind it. It even has free coaching sessions that we run in there. Even live, I forgot about this, even live sales call recordings of us taking the calls. That way you can see how to implement every single one of these skill sets. And even, Jesus, too much shit. Last but not least, we even have offers and influencers you can start selling for as soon as tomorrow, regardless of your experience. That way you can actually start making commissions and achieving the life that you want. So if you look in the description below, I'm gonna leave the link to that group in there, and then hopefully you join, and I will see you on the other side.